Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to be doing my big swim bait slash glide bait arsenal video. I know I saw a few comments asking me to do one of these, and I was planning on doing one anyway. I did one last year this time, and compared to then, I have so many more baits, it's not even comparable. I only started fishing big baits in the summer slash fall of 2023, so it really hasn't been that long. I'm gonna go over my setups in this video, even though I just did a rod and reel arsenal video not long ago. In case you guys didn't see that, then I'll show my big bait setups in this video too. Also, this is just gonna be hard baits besides one soft glide I have. So if you guys wanna see a soft swim bait arsenal video, I can do one of those too later in the winter. I've got so many of those, so it'd be a pretty good video. So I have the table set up right here. I'm doing this outside right before dark, so the lighting should be pretty good. I'm gonna go over the baits first, and I'll do the rods after. So I'm gonna sit down and start talking. So I got the card table set up, and now I'm gonna start going over them. I keep all of my baits in a large sized Evolution, the big bait bag, and I have a few here on the table that I don't keep in there because I either have them tied on all the time, or I don't use them much, or they're broken. I've got a few broken ones, mainly just one, but when I open it up, that's the inside. So I'm gonna start with the ones that I have outside of the container first, and then I'll do the ones inside. So the first bait that I'm gonna start with is one that I have had for over a year and a half now. And I ended up breaking it on a dock this summer, and then I ended up going back a week later. I'll be showing that in the background right now. But I ended up going back a week later. I ended up getting in the water up to my waist and finding the last piece I needed of the broken tail to fix this bait. I have both those pieces, I just have not glued it back together yet, but that would be Throwback Baits Metro Glide Skull Shad. This was from the first ever Metro Glide drop they ever did, and I ended up getting one, and I probably caught a couple hundred fish on this bait. I mean, literally had like just so many 20 fish days on this at certain ponds, and every lake around here I've caught fish on this bait. I mean, it is so destroyed, but this one is my favorite glide of all time. Then going into the next one is one that I recently got and I've already had some very good luck with, and that is the Fish Everything 7-inch Taxi Shad. And this bait, for being $110, fishes like a so much more expensive one. This thing is great. It has a little system in it where you can put a nail weight inside right here at the hinge, and I did that, and it makes it a little bit faster of a sink, especially in this cold water. And fishing it deeper, just on some of these riprap banks, a few of the lakes have a lot of around here. I ended up catching one 4 1/4 about pounder on it on my second ever outing with this bait. And so far I'm extremely impressed. I really like how it stands out in the water. As you guys can tell, this bone color, it's called pearl bone. It's really got like a reflectiveness to it. Compared to a normal bone, this thing just sticks out in dirty water, which I have so much dirty water around here. That's all there is. It sticks out so good. Then we've got two more baits. These are DOT Tiny Clashes. This is the Working Class Zero Color Joy Thief. This is called Ultimate Bait Fish. This bait, I have caught so many fish on. It is hook crash beyond belief. I have hooked my biggest ever swimbait fish. It might have been my biggest bass ever on this. Was probably a 7 or 8 pounder. And unfortunately, it was right when I started fishing big baits, and I did not fight it right, and it jumped and came off. Then this one, the Joy Thief, I have been catching more fish on this one recently this year than I did on this one, just because the dirty water, this bait stands out amazing in the dirty water. The V-tail with normal lip with an egg snap on the front just makes dead walking this thing, especially if the water temperature is a little bit cold, just absolutely killer. It's definitely worth trying, but I've had a few places where this bait right here is the #1 fish catcher, just because they've never seen something like that before. Basically, if you think about it, fishing these, dead walking them, is almost like fishing a bigger jerkbait, and the fish absolutely love jerkbaits. So you just gotta think of it like that, and it works great. If you do that with most glides, if you compare them to a conventional tackle bait and fish it how you would fish that, you'll get more bites. Next, we have one that I've only ever caught a couple fish on, and they have been really little, and that is a Roman Made Negotiator in the chartreuse color. It's got a little hook rash. I've caught a couple of fish on it. I really didn't give this bait the time that I should have this year. I needed to fish it more, and I probably will next year, but I mean, this thing's action is just amazing, of course. You know, it's just a smaller version of the mother, so it's, of course, going to be a great lure just because of how good the mother is. And this thing stands out amazing in dirty water with the chartreuse top and bottom, and that was my main goal, is using it for that. but I ended up not using it as much as I should have this year. Now, breaking into the Evolution bag, we got another bait that I was recently given by Kyle at the Gracley Baits, who is a super nice person and makes an amazing, amazing lure. At a lake that I've never had luck on catching glide fish, I went out, and on my second outing, I caught a fish on the taxi shad that was nice, and then I caught a giant, a 4.5 on this. This is the full-size shad by Gracley Baits, and this is in the carp or golden shiner pattern. It's supposed to imitate both for whichever one you've got, and I've got both in a lot of lakes around here, so it obviously works. The bite I had on this bait for my first and only fish I've caught on it so far was the hardest hard bait bite I've ever had. I'll play a clip of it, and you guys can see my rod lurch literally 3 inches towards where the bite was before I even set the hook. It was insane. This is just an absolutely beautiful bait. Super good action. You can literally chop it, or you can fish it as more of a wide glide, and the sink rate on this one is just about perfect as well. Such an amazing lure. Then we have the Throwback Retro CT, my biggest glide. This thing is 9 inches, I think 5.5 ounces. I've caught, I think, half a dozen fish on this, my biggest one only being 3 3/4, maybe 4 pounds. And I did, unfortunately, watch a 6+ come up and eat it right out of a patch of grass this spring, and then I flipped back in there and caught a different fish that was fighting over it, and it was about a 3, and unfortunately that 6 did not get hooks. But this thing has unreal action for such a big bait. It has basically the same action as the Metro does, but it is just bigger. It is literally the same bait. As you know, or if you don't, Throwback makes the Retro Glide, which is this bait, but with the hinges being more of a V instead of flat like this. And it just does a super slow wide glide. This one just chops like a Metro, and it's killer around super shallow cover. I've caught some of my most aggressive fish on this bait, especially little ones that come up and eat it, which is crazy. I have caught a fish under 2 pounds on this in a pond. It was unreal. This color is great though. Got this on the first Retro CT drop. Excited to throw it more this spring early in some of these power plant lakes. Then we've got 2 more Throwback Metro Glides. This is just the, I'm being attacked by the Retro, hold on. This is just the shad pattern you can buy in Tackle Warehouse. I did buy it from Tackle Warehouse on one of the drops, and I have, as you can tell, the hook rash on this bait, I've caught so many fish with this thing. Same as the Purple Metro. This one I just thrown a little bit more clear water because it's a little bit more natural, and this bait just absolutely catches them. It is such a good lure for just catching numbers. Then the story with this bait breaking, then I bought a blank of a Metro Glide, and we painted it, me and my dad, to look exactly like the one I broke. And I've caught 1 fish in this and was a 4.5. So I'm very excited to throw this in the spring because it is the best color. The purple top shad glide, I think, is the #1 color you can throw. Then going on to a bait that I have caught a ridiculous amount of fish on. This is the Versatile VG2. This bait is a little bit on the small side. If you want a bait that will literally just walk in place, like just chop in place, this bait is the best chopping action. It is crazy. I mean, look at that. It is unreal. You can tune the hinges. I have it actually tightened down a little bit right now to be more of a wider glide, but it's still insanely choppy. Of course, the HD like paint schemes just they print on are amazing. I've caught so many fish on this. I had a 20+ fish day on this bait, and then my footage got corrupted. Still mad about that, but nothing gigantic has been caught on this for me, but I've caught so many fish on it. Then we have another bait, which is the only other one I own that I have not caught a fish on. This is the KGB Legend. This thing has unreal action. I love this lure. I've had a couple bites on it, but really haven't given it the time that it deserves to be used. I need to fish it a lot more. It is a pretty big bait. It is a 9-inch glide. Compared to the Retro CT though, Retro CT is quite a bit bigger, but they have pretty similar action. I really think this is an underrated glide. I know a lot of people love the Shad, which I do too, but the Legend is a little bit smaller than the KGB Prince and the KGB King, and this thing needs to be more known because it is seriously good. Then we got 2 of my first glides I ever bought. Of course, Shad that started it all. This thing is so beat up. I caught so many big fish in this, throwing it on a jig rod. That is how I started, bought this bait and was throwing it on a jig rod. I had bought my Antares DC just to use as a conventional reel because I had wanted one for so long. Put it on my jig rod, then bought one of these when they came out, and started catching so many fish, it started losing so many fish. So that's whenever I ended up buying my first Leviathan Omega. Ever since then, that's basically the main baits that I throw. I think this is the best budget glide you could buy. If you had $50 or $60, whatever it is, to buy a glide bait and you just wanted to catch fish, this is the one you should get. They have great colors. I bought this because it was the closest to a bluegill pattern at the time of release, and it kills in ponds. And then we have the Bait Sanity Chimera Shad. I've caught quite a few fish on this. I just don't throw out much anymore because I think other baits I have just do what it does a little bit better, but it's still a great bait. It is ABS plastic, has some good action, but like I said, just got a few other ones that I like more. Then we got one of the first ones I ever bought. I bought this like 5 or more years ago at this point. It has been so long. Jackal Gantrel Jr. I really want to buy one of the full-size ones, but this bait is super good for the price. I think this is like a $30 lure, and if you wanted to just have a swim bait, because this is a 3-piece, that you could just go to a pond or go to a lake and catch a billion fish on. This is basically just a conventional bait because look how little it is, but seriously, this is the #1 fish catching bait that I have if you wanted to just catch small ones and not care about catching bigger fish, because I mean, it is so good looking in the water. They literally can't resist it. Then we've got 2 wake baits. Throwback Wake Walker. Got 1 hook on there right now. I don't know why that is. Then we got the Sensei Candy Gill Wake. The Throwback Wake Walker in black. I fish this thing at night so much. So many of the lakes around me are so dirty that you almost need like a big crawler, which I've got one coming soon, to catch some of these night fish in the dirty water. But this bait has been great for me at one of the lakes around here. I was throwing it in a bunch of the tournaments and catching some decent fish on it right before dark, and its action is absolutely amazing. I like to walk it more than I like to just wake it, and it really is. It is just a super good wake bait. Then the Sensei Candy Gill Wake. This is a little resin wake bait that got me my craziest topwater eat ever. Not even just swim bait topwater eats, the craziest topwater eat ever. I will play a clip of that. It was absolutely insane. I literally had the bait half in the water at the boat, and this fish came out of the water and grabbed it. Oh. I've caught so many fish in this thing. It is such a perfect snack size for any fish to eat. It literally gets bit by all sizes. I actually caught a green sunfish on this. And speaking of that, I caught a green sunfish on the taxi shad. I'll show a clip of that too, or a picture of that. It was just the dumbest thing ever. But I could not recommend this thing more. I think sadly Austin, who does Sensei, is slowing down the production of his baits, but when he does do drops, I definitely would pick one up. Then we got my last one. Big surprise, another Throwback Metro in the Southern Gill color. This bait has caught me quite a few pond fish. I love throwing this in ponds because that's the 95% of the forage that these pond bass eat is bluegill, and this bait perfectly mimics a female bright bluegill. The male ones are a little bit darker, so that's why some of the like KGB Chad Chads are in a darker bluegill color, which I do want to get one of those eventually, but this is a great clear water pond gill color. Some metros you get sink a little bit quicker, and this one was not one of those. This one was a floater, so I put on a tungsten strip on the bottom there, and now it is perfect. Definitely like the shad colors a little bit more because they're more versatile. I can fish them at lakes and ponds, but that's going to be it for my glides. I'm gonna go get my rod and reel setups that I fished these on and do a quick rundown. Not gonna go super in depth because I just did that in my other video. Actually, we're not gonna go to the rods yet because I just realized I forgot to talk about one of my favorite baits. DRT Clash 9 Spectre color. I've caught so many fish in this thing. The snap on the front, board weight on the front, makes the glide on this bait killer for a 9-inch bait. It is such a good dirty water color. 2, being Spectre, the pink tail stands out great. The white plus the blue on the top. This thing's amazing. You can dead walk it just like the Tiny Clash, but my preferred method is gliding it. Just wanted to throw that in there. I could not recommend this bait more. I absolutely love it. It's all rashed up. Should be more, but I need to use it more. But I literally was like about to grab the rods. They're behind me right there, and I forgot to mention that one because it was on my desk. So to the rods. Okay, so gonna go over my 3 glide rods real quick. I do have a few soft bait setups, but I'm not gonna show those here. I might do them in the soft bait video, but I just did them in my rod and reel one. So starting off, Terry's 2018 DC Monster Drive. This reel, absolutely amazing. 18-pound Sunline shooter on there for my smaller baits. This is the 2 to 6 Leviathan Omega swim bait. I've caught hundreds of fish in this setup. I absolutely love the old reel seat they used to have in there. The new one, it's okay. But this reel is the ultimate reel. My friend Lewis actually just bought one for his first reel because his dad was in Japan and got us a few baits and a reel each. So I'll be looking forward to that video going over what we bought there. Then 2017 Shimano X-Sense DC on a F5 Ghost Code 710 medium heavy 1 to 4 ounce. This is of course another super parabolic bendy rod, and I have 18-pound shooter on this reel as well. I would not recommend this reel because of the fact that it holds no line, but other than that, it is an amazing reel. It's the same body as the 2018 Antares, and I love it, but it just doesn't hold enough line. And this is my first F5 rod, and I could not be more impressed with it. I definitely will be getting more because it is such a nice rod. I absolutely love this. Then for the final setup, 200 sized JDM Shimano Calcutta XG 200. The XG is the JDM exclusive 20-pound Abrazex on here. This is for throwing the Retro CT, for throwing the Legend, or any other bait. Honestly, this is the 2 to 8 ounce Mod Fast Leviathan Omega Swimbait. I've caught a ton of muskie on this setup, a ton of bass, and it is overall just killer. The Calcutta 200, best reel ever made, I would say at this point after using it for a while. If you wanted to just buy a reel that you could throw everything on, I throw like 6 ounce baits on this reel and it's perfectly good still. So you don't need a 300 size reel, but they are still nice. I love 200 size reels though. That is going to be it for this video. Let me know any questions you guys have in the comments about any bait, any setup, anything, and I'll definitely respond with my opinions. So thank you guys for watching.